Hey, Jason Osborne served as deputy senior strategist and then later as senior communication strategist for Ben Carson's presidential campaign. As you know, over the weekend, officially, Ben Carson stepped down out of the race. Osborne assisted in the execution of national strategy and handled campaign operations in 5 U.S. territories and commonwealths. Wealths as a consultant, presence on the road with Carson. Osborne aided in streamlining and maximizing Carson's message throughout the country. And he's on right now with us. Jason, thanks for coming on this morning.
Well, thanks for having me.
That was a mouthful.
In New York.
That was a mouthful, that bio of yours. Pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. It's just a lot of words, right?
Listen, a lot of stuff out there. What are your thoughts here? Ben Carson really seemed to be the guy. And then just out of nowhere, this crazy campaign seemed to go by the way of Trump. What do you credit for all of this? What are your thoughts?
I think it was this cycle was like nothing we've ever seen before. We had initially when we started this, there was 17 officially in the race, but at any given time there was over 20 that were considering getting in the race.
Yeah,
so it's really
crazy.
hard to kind of break out and provide kind of a different voice.
Yeah.
And particularly when you had somebody like Donald Trump that was literally sucking the air out of the room, you had to grab your opportunities. And I think we had an opportunity last fall. And, for whatever, many reasons, the public flirted with him. And, the interesting thing is they never stopped loving Dr. Carson. They just didn't think that he had kind of the policy chops and experience to make it all the way.
Jason, tell me, when we're watching this, we're seeing the voters seem to be going for someone who is not a politician. They want somebody that's an outsider, and now we're seeing it on the Democratic side as well. Because here's Bernie Sanders, a self-proclaimed socialist, winning in Michigan, and he's still hanging in there. Is this just a cycle that we're going through, or is there something to be said that really politicians need to look at? That the American people, especially the middle class, feels like they have been excluded, and this is a movement, or is it just a
fad?
A fad here.
No, I really think you have to look back at 2000 with the campaign finance reform and what it did to political parties, and really severely hampered their ability to kind of build these kind of grassroots networks and keep the party involved at the local level. Starting from there, and then you lead into kind of the Tea Party movement and some of the the Occupy DC and some of those movements where people were really feeling like, you know what, we do have a voice in this, and we have more of a voice now, kind of separate from the political party system. And so I think this is going to continue. I think you see it with Rubio, you see it with Jeb Bush, where the quote unquote establishment isn't really able to provide that base of support in a primary or a caucus. So I don't think it's going to stop.
It's also interesting, we talk about how, Donald Trump is an outsider, and Ben Carson was an outsider. And even Ted Cruz is considered somebody who is not a part of the political establishment. But when you look at who's running, let's be honest here, Jason, who's running these campaigns, Donald Trump's campaign, these are political insiders. These are people that know what they're doing, and they're crafting the message. So, the American public doesn't realize, but Donald Trump is an outsider, but those that are behind him really aren't.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think you kind of have to look at many different analogies. I don't think you'd want a car mechanic coming in and operating on your heart.
Sure, right.
So, there's certain things that we do as, in the political consulting field that, we know the process.
Right.
But it's the candidate really that is driving the message. And you have to have kind of that back room, I hate to say that word,
I know,
negative connotation, but you have to have that kind of expertise in how to navigate the filing process in, the 50 states and the 6, the District of Columbia and the 5 territories, and also navigate the FEC filings. I mean, it's a very comprehensive field of talent that you need to choose from. But the candidate himself is driving the message.
You have a great deal of experience, but I don't think you need experience. I don't think you need to be a rocket scientist in political science to, if it could be such a thing, to not figure out that having Mitt Romney come out last week for Donald Trump was actually going to in some way benefit Trump. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. I'm a big fan of Mitt Romney's. I helped his campaign in 2012 and worked with him actually on the Olympic Committee stuff back in Salt Lake.
Wow.
He's an amazing man, and it was disappointing to hear him kind of take that tone. Yeah, I think one comment that I made recently is that we've turned these debates into Comedy Central roasts instead of policy debates. And that's unfortunate, and we continue to feed into that. Donald Trump is Donald Trump, and sure. I think there's a certain magnetism that he has on TV, and, he plays into that. But I don't think the other candidates need to step into that realm and bring it down even further.
Do you think Marco Rubio was hurt when he really began to stoop to that level?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was in Houston when that occurred, and for the debate, it was our last debate, and I thought, you know what? I think the next day, I was thinking that night after the debate that, Marco and Ted Cruz could really take the upper hand in this, and they could really turn Trump down. But when I hear Marco Rubio actually use the word "peed in his pants," describing another candidate, I'm like, why is he doing this? I know he doesn't need to do this. He's a statesman, he's an elected official, and
that was what
that was above that.
He was the alternative to that, and he at some point felt that he had to get into the mud and the muck. And I think it was and if we really look at it, he's lost a great deal, I think, since that decision. I think it's been a really wrong move.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Mississippi. He was in 20% a week ago, and last night I think he finished at 9%.
Wow. Yeah.
It really hit him hard.
Yeah. Does he win Florida?
I don't think so at this point. I mean, one of the things that I'd noticed early on was that the organization of Rubio's campaign, they had some great people that work over there and folks that I've worked with in the past, but I was continually surprised by the lack of organization they had in all the states. Now, that's his home turf, and I still think there's a lot of bad blood between some Bush folks and Rubio folks. Yeah. But he barely filed a full slate of delegates in Puerto Rico, and yet because of Jeb dropping out, Carson dropping out, and a few others, he was able to pull out a victory there. But it wasn't an outstanding victory. I mean, Puerto Rico is a very establishment place, so I don't think that translates. I mean, normally you have Puerto Rico before Florida, and you can really turn out that Puerto Rican vote, right? And you're not hearing any of that. Yeah. So I think it's possible, but I don't see it right now.
Jason Osborne was Deputy Senior Strategist for Ben Carson, and thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate your insight. Great stuff this morning. Thanks.
Great, no problem. Thank you.
Jason Osborne. Quick break. We'll come right back. Christine has news, and then this kid from Westmoreland, Ryan Quinn. Man, is he good. He is on The Voice, and all 4 judges turned around for him. That was a pretty big deal. I do have birthdays here we'll throw in for today. Today being the 9th of March. Lee Vieira, V-E-I-R-A in Barneville. Happy birthday. Iris Moskal in New Hartford. John Rendon in Utica. And Leah Kimball, all celebrating today. Lee Vieira, Lee Vieira in Barneville. Happy birthday. Get a cake from the Florentine Pastry Shop on Bleecker Street in Utica. You can get into our VIP club and submit your birthday online at WIBX950.com. Or you can send it a postcard to WIBX Birthdays, 9418 River Road, Marcy, 13403. News next. And then Jason will speak with, not Jason Osborne, but we're going to speak with Ryan Quinn, who's on The Voice from Westmoreland or Clinton. We'll find out when he comes in here in just a minute on WIBX.